I gotta be honest, I crack myself up with that video every single time. There's a ripping guitar solo at the end there, and I'm not sure why. It just goes. Hello, 0 viewers. More people are gonna show up. That's how it goes when we're streaming. It's me, PJ Metz. I'm here repping my old job because it's a comfy polo, and it's about the marching band that I used to help with. And it's a reminder that I used to be a teacher. And I feel like that's fitting for today, because today we're going to be talking with someone about education and about how it's changing and how we can make those changes for the better. So my name's PJ Metz. This is Metzing Around. This is my Twitch stream. This is going to be a show that I do more frequently. I'm going to have guests on that talk about what they're doing in tech, especially as it relates towards education. I think I'm going to call the show the Techy Tanuki because at GitLab, the people who give me money twice a month, we've got our logo is a Tanuki, which is a raccoon dog from Eastern Asia. And Techy Tanukis, it's got that alliteration. It's fun. It's exciting. People love good alliteration. It's great. Today on the show, for honestly, like our very first guest, the very first person to come on Techy Tanuki, I'm super excited to have this person here. He was a intern with us at GitLab. He was working on something called Courseware as code. And he's going to tell us all about it. Come hang out with us for 30 minutes. Tell other people to get in here. I promise this stream will be better than the 10-minute stream I accidentally did about an hour ago when I thought I was recording a video and I just hit go live instead. That was a mistake. This is real. This is for work. But here to tell us all about Courseware as code, here to tell us all about himself and what he does live from South America, please welcome Alejandro Rusi. Whee!
Hello everyone. Hi Vijay.
Hi Alejandro. I always think it's funny when I start a show and I'm always like, "Hey," and we're saying it like we just ran into each other. When really
we're actually talking backstage.
Yeah, we were backstage. We were hanging out in the green room before this, right? So, first off, go ahead and just tell us all about yourself and what your deal is and your background and how you came to be on this show today. Take it away.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say it's an honor to be the first guest on your show, Vijay. Thank you for having me. And as for me, I'm a computer science student. In my university, we do both bachelor's and master's at the same time. So I'm doing both in a way. I'm about to start working on my thesis, which will be this next semester. And I'm also been a teaching assistant for 1.5 years now. When I just started being a teaching assistant, the pandemic happened. So I've only been teaching remote 100% for 1.5 years now. There's lots of things of things to do better when you are teaching computer science remotely. And that's what we were trying to do with Vijay here with Go Summer of Code and with this Courseware as Code project.
Oh, I made myself the big boy. You're the big boy.
Ooh.
You're the one who's telling us about it. Yeah. So fully pandemic from the beginning.
Yep.
So you've never taught in a classroom at all?
Not at all. Only we do like some kind of evaluation, like a mock class to grade your skills as a teacher. That was it. That was my only class. The students only know my voice and only know me like from my webcam, but that's it. I don't even know their faces because the students don't usually turn on their webcam.
They don't ever.
I know their voices. Yep.
I had that same experience. I'm a former teacher myself, like I said, so I always loved turning on Zoom. And you had a few kids that were like this for the whole class, just kind of, or for some reason the angle was like directly under their face, and I was like, "Hey, bud, just go ahead and turn the camera off. It's okay. We're all sleepy. Have your cereal. Just don't leave your mic on."
Oh yeah, my classes started at 9 a.m. So
Ooh,
I was sleepy.
So early.
The head professor was sleepy. The students were sleepy. Everyone was wanted to go back to bed. Really, I think some students actually took classes in bed.
I believe it. And I gotta tell, I always told my seniors, I was like, you're gonna be tempted to take a 9 a.m. or even a 10 a.m. class. Don't. And they're always like, I wake up at 7 a.m. now to go to school. I'm like,
What's
listen
wrong?
to me.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Your classes start at 11 at the earliest.
That's the best decision ever. Yep.
So you said it's sort of a bachelor's and master's at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the workload is a lot more, or is it a little more balanced? Tell us about that.
Actually, it's the same, really. It's balanced, but it's up to you in how you organize your classes. So you could start, like, instead of completing your bachelor's completely, you could start taking classes from your master's, or after like 2 years of studying, you could start with your thesis. It's up to you. The order of the classes is up to you. The thing is, you could decide, okay, I just focus on classes that will give me my bachelor's and then leave. That's an option. Or I could like do everything in any kind of order and have fun with it. That's kind of what I did, actually. So I have some classes from my bachelor's left, and some classes from my master's left.
Okay.
But
so
classes from masters are actually are usually more fun.
Yeah,
And more interesting.
I agree. I had more fun in my master's degree than I did in my bachelor's. It felt relevant to me what I was studying on my master's. So what's your degree in? I know you said computer science, but what's the specific degree in gonna be?
So it's just computer science. That's it. It's called this combination of bachelor's and masters. It's called a licenciatura.
Okay.
In that you'll hear that name everywhere in South America.
Awesome. All right, so that's where you're at now. You're hoping to start your dissertation soon, and what is it that brought us together? Can you tell us about Google Summer of Code and what it is that brought you to GitLab?
Sure, I would love to. So Google Summer of Code is a program for connecting students with open source projects. It happens every year. It's completely remote, so that fits GitLab's culture perfectly, I think. And yeah, so every year there is some organizations publish some open source projects, and they look for students wanting to help. You get some stipend from it, and it's usually around 2.5 months or 3 months of work, and anyone from anywhere can apply. As long as you're a student, you don't even have to be learning computer science, actually. You could be learning medicine, or you could be doing something else, doing philosophy. As long as you're interested in code and like helping out to an open source project, that's it. That's all you need.
Perfect. That's awesome. So, did you choose GitLab? Did GitLab come out and grab you? What did that process look like?
No, I chose GitLab, actually. So once Google Summer of Code starts, you'll see lots of organizations announce. I was actually looking for things that I'm interested in. I mean, I was looking for projects using Python programming or something that I already know. But I actually saw GitLab, and they had a project about education. I was, all right, I'm a teaching assistant, so that seems interesting. And I saw what they were wanting to do, and it kind of like clicked with me. I actually knew some of the things that we were going to use beforehand. Like, for example, we wanted to use GitLab Pages to host a website and do stuff like that. And I actually did that with a blog, and I knew how difficult can it be for a beginner or someone who doesn't know how to code, how to set that up. It has lots of documentation, and it's great, and it's awesome, and it's free. But sometimes, like, it could take you a few hours or stuff like that to set it up and understand it correctly, and that could scare you away in a way. Like, if you are someone,
it can be really scary.
Yeah,
it can be really scary. When
okay, this is not for me. Let's move on to some other thing. So with Coursework as Code, the project I'm doing with PJ and also Christina, it's about making those kind of things, those services that GitLab offers, easier to use, and assume nothing of the technical background of the user. Some of these tools kind of assume you already know how to code and you already know how to write programs and write software. We tried not to do that and be as clear as possible and just make it easier and fun.
Right, and that's that you spoke to that sort of beginner mentality where you're like, it can be hard when you're a beginner, and
Yes.
when you look and you see something, there are so many people that when it doesn't work that first time, we're just likely to give up. And I know I was like that for a long time. If I wasn't good immediately, it wasn't meant for me, and I just walked away from it. So having a low barrier to get into something means more people will likely participate. When more people participate, we get a better, just a better situation overall, right?
Yep, and I've been there as well because I did actually when I was taking classes in high school, I did terrible at math. I was terrible, and I always loved computers and problem solving and stuff like that. And I was no, I'm too scared to take a computer science class or a computer science university program. I was actually too scared. Actually studied something else completely for 2 years, and then I decided, why am I scared? Just started playing around, writing some simple codes, writing simple software, and had fun with it. I mean, and I had lots of mistakes, and everything broke, and for lots of time, and it still does, right? After 4 years of university classes and some software engineering work, stuff always breaks. You have to get used to it, and you start to actually enjoy it. And it's not your fault if things break. It's just part of the process.
The breaks part of the process. When it breaks, you go, okay, we've got a case now that we have to protect the users from other people.
Yep,
from. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Everything breaks, and that's fine. We should put that on a T-shirt. I think that'd be good. So you came to GitLab. You said you had some experience with GitLab Pages before. I do want to say that background you just talked about of I hate math, I'm not good at math, I don't do math, to engineer and software engineer, you're not the only one that's made that journey. I know so many people who have discovered later on that I can do this stuff. It's not so bad. So it's nice to have. I mean, I'm one of them. I just want to say, I think we're both in great company.
Yeah, exactly.
So you helped create something called Courseware as Code, and to give a quick little background before you do, Courseware as Code was created by what was called the Cyber School from the United States Army, and they were looking for a way to deliver content better to students who were studying in a new digital world, where the Army was going to find their place in that digital world. And what they came up with is this great thing called Courseware as Code. And Alejandro, you have been just like armpit deep in the waters of Courseware as Code for the past 2 months. You're going to explain it way better than me, so I'm going to let you take this one away. Sure.
And what you mentioned about the Cyber School, the best thing is that all of their experience, their code is not public because they're working with sensitive stuff, but their learnings and stuff they learn along the way when doing their own Courseware as Code, they publish it and they share it on a white paper, and they also give talks about it, and it also serves as great inspiration for this project. And that's what's so great about open source and sharing your learnings and stuff like that. And that's what we're trying to do here with Courseware as Code as well. Everything is open. You can go ahead and use it, change it, modify it, add stuff you like, delete stuff you don't like, do anything you want with it, really.
We're taking you up on that, Alejandro. Christina, who's my manager, and we were both your technically mentors for Google Summer of Code from GitLab. But as soon as we saw what this was, we were like, can't wait to take this and use it in a bunch of places because it's going to be great. And you did such an amazing job on it. Honestly, we are blown away. So yeah, keep going. Tell us more.
Thank you. So the project ended up being about 3 different modules. The first module is about using, there are 3 services, right? That the GitLab offers, that they're awesome, but they're maybe kind of hard to use for newcomers and people maybe with an educational background who don't know a lot about programming. So there is GitLab Pages. GitLab Pages lets you host your own website for free. You don't have to do anything with it. As long as you're serving just static files, like reading material, syllabus, typical class content, that's fine. It's completely free. You can use it and share it with anyone. There's also GitLab API. GitLab API, you could do like loads of API calls and automate stuff, make manual processes automated and fun instead of doing them manually. Like, for example, Or let's say I want to assign some homework to a student. To if it's just one student, no problem doing it manually. If it's 100 students, well, that's kind of a problem.
So
And we
you
also
have that
found,
part
yeah,
that makes calls to the API automatic. Oh, it's using the API and making it so that even a beginner teacher who has not a lot of code experience
yep,
could utilize the API to get this done and to use this with students.
yes. They only just need to change a configuration file, and that will be it. That will be it from them.
And you give them the instructions for that. It's not like
Yeah.
you need to change the configuration file and you have to know. It's if you're looking at the README, it walks you through every single step.
Oh, documentation is so important. Documentation is the most
Absolutely.
important thing for every project, I think.
That's right. That's right. Continue. Tell us more, please.
Sure. And the last thing that GitLab has that's awesome, but maybe kind of hard to use, are webhooks. So GitLab creates some kind of events. Anytime an action happens on your repository, it's called a webhook. For example, let's say you push some code, or you close an issue, or you merge a merge request. All of things could be sent as an event, as a webhook, and you could react to that, right? Let's say if a student creates a merge request, maybe I would like to congratulate them on merging something. Or if they close an issue, do that as well. Tell them, okay, great, good job. Should we move on and maybe show a little bit the GitLab pages? Bishai,
Yeah.
would you like that?
I would love that. I love to show it off. Go ahead.
Sure. You'll see here that
I think you have to click that.
let
show
me.
screen.
Yep. I was just opening up the screen. Should take a little second.
It should give me the screen. Sponsored by Restream, as you can tell. We can't get that watermark off until we upgrade. It's coming. An upgrade's coming.
I'm looking forward to it. For now, it's working great. So. Yep.
Perfect. All right, let me throw that up
There we
there.
go.
And that's the big boy now. Perfect.
Great. So as you can see, if you would like to create a GitLab page using your Courseware as code template and theme, you could just start with this project, open it up, and the instructions. I think we put a lot of work on our documentation instructions. You see that there are multiple ways to putting it up and setting it up. We even have GIFs telling you where to click and what to change. We really wanted to assume nothing of anyone. It's okay if you've never done this before. That's the idea, right?
That's absolutely the idea. I love it. Man, I have to say, your documentation was really good. Like, even I was able to follow it, and like, I'm notoriously bad at understanding documentation all the time. So this is something where you're going to be able to have a full-on front-end Google page. You're
Exactly.
also going to have the courseware tools, and that is going to give that teacher the power to automate a lot of stuff that would normally take up a lot of their time. And then finally, the webhooks component. And those webhooks, you would use that with a like a cloud service, right? What are the applications? We were talking about this a few weeks ago. How would we use something like we talked about using Heroku to generate something for this? What would that look like?
Right. Like if you want to listen to a webhook, you need to have a computer running all of the time, checking for that webhook, like listening to the events happening. You probably won't do it on your own personal computer because you'll want to turn that off. Maybe you don't want to handle the load of web requests coming all of the time to your computer. But maybe if it's like an instance living on the cloud, that shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't bother you at all, right? So there comes Heroku. Heroku is super friendly to anyone really to use, and you can host a free instance that pretty much does the job. You could deploy your GitLab webhook solution there. And for example, something we implemented with Vijay and Christina is that, let me show it here. So students could get badges, right, on closing issues. So for example, if you grade an assignment using our tools, sharing assignments, it automatically gives the student multiple badges, one badge for each issue. And once they close their badges, you see here, for example, this is an example repository where we tested out. For example, you have a badge for each issue you close in the past.
I love that idea of giving
it
out
will
badges.
it will take you to the issue that you solved to this.
That's great.
The cool thing here is it's automatic. The educator doesn't have to worry about, okay, let me go and manually add a badge, congratulating the student. Congratulating students is great, but maybe if it's a manual process, you won't end up doing it as much. So that's why those badges are here.
I can't tell you how many times there was we had a learning management system I used when I was a teacher called Schoology. And they were like, we've got badges for kids and you can give the kids a badge. And I was like, that's great. And then I found out I had to do it manually and I never gave out any of them. And I would just tell the kid, good job when I saw them. But if you can automate it when you complete an assignment, let's say they have to get, you can write tests that check their work, that assigns a grade. And then based on whatever grade that is, it assigns them a badge about how well they did. It's fantastic.
Exactly. And you wouldn't have to do more than running this piece of code here, like setting it up and running it. You don't even have to run it locally. You could use, everything runs with GitLab pipelines. So GitLab pipelines, in a way, GitLab lends you some compute power to run some scripts and steps, and it's free. So you could just click on run this. It will create the assignments for all of your students.
And that's what's good about combining this with GitLab for Education, which is the team that I work under. We offer schools free versions of GitLab, and not just a regular community edition. We offer them the ultimate edition of GitLab, and that comes with 50,000 CI minutes, and it comes with all this great stuff. Now, with Courseware code, we can say, hey, we want to give you access to the DevOps platform, GitLab. Not only that, we've got this thing called Courseware code we think you'd like to try out too, and you can automate a lot of the admin tasks that make teaching a little bit harder, and you can focus on the class and the students.
Yep, exactly.
You are crushing it, Alejandro. I cannot overstate how awesome this is, and this project really has been.
So happy to hear that, Pishai. And the last thing I think we mentioned is that using Courseware as code is like if you use GitLab Pages to host your website. This is a GitLab page using our Courseware as code template. So if you use that, you'll automatically have version control of every change made. And not only educators will be able to change and modify that content. Students could also do that as well. So of course they won't do it directly. I mean, if they could, they would just delete the website and go to sleep, go back to sleep. No more
all the
classes.
tests are gone, and everyone has an A.
But thankfully, if you click on a button like this, where it says that's in every page, it's automatically added to every page of your website. It will take you to a merge request. So a student could propose a change to a file, or if they see something wrong, not an educator could change it. A student could change it as well.
Yeah, and really, that's what you said at the beginning of the show, where you talked about how GitLab is open source and open core, and you're drawn to that because this idea of everybody contributing is part of what excites you. This is taking that and putting it in the classroom. It's not just the teacher who can change the course. Students can make recommendations with a merge request. Hey, this assignment was great. Even if it's just like a message, this assignment was great, but I noticed this part took me much longer because of this. And then you can send that merge request to the teacher, and it creates a collaborative environment between teacher and students, rather than the teacher knows everything, the students memorize it, and then put it back on the test for them. That's not learning, you know?
Totally. And it happens every time, right? I mean, as a student, I was given some assignments where there were grammar mistakes on the problems, or maybe what they suggested was actually wrong, and then the educators went back and changed it much later. And with this, you could just do it directly, and it will send them a notification telling them, okay, maybe we could add this recommendation made by a student to our class.
Right. And since it has to be a merge request, the students are not going to be able to just change it automatically.
Exactly.
Right? They have to ask the teacher. And we were worried about this because we were like, well, what happens if they get access to, some environment variables they shouldn't have access to? There's all these questions.
Yep.
Tell us about that environment variables.
Sure, we changed on our proposal. We didn't have that solution using Heroku for running webhooks. We actually wanted to let the user that they wouldn't need to host anything, just run it on a GitLab pipeline. But that will mean that each project will be able to run GitLab API calls and stuff like that. And GitLab API calls are made on the name of the educators, of the owners of the project. So if a student could get their hands on the name of that environment variable, they will make API calls, faking themselves to be the professor, and they could do anything pretty much. They could delete their project, they could delete every class, they could delete anything. That's why we went with the solution using Heroku, where so everything that's sensitive in a way, everything sensitive information lives on that server, and only the owner of that server can access it and change it and interact with it. And students can only interact with their own course via merge requests and issues and stuff like that, but not doing anything with the sensitive information.
Yeah. So we're really at this point, we're considering things like, how does a student think? And how they think is, can I cheat on this? Can I get the answers somewhere?
And maybe cheating is actually harder than the assignment.
I love that. I always love seeing some of the effort that a kid put into it. And I'm like, if you had just studied. But look, it happens. I'm not sitting here moralizing about cheating or not. But we're always looking as educators to protect our assignments and assessments from kids being able to cheat on them. So the fact that solution, by the way, folks, Alejandro came up with that solution like really quickly. Like, we were in a meeting and we were like, could someone? And he goes, oh. And like next week he was like, I fixed it. I got it. No problem.
And thanks to you, I learned about how Heroku free instances are super easy to use.
I learned about Heroku because I make dumb Twitter bots. So this has all been a great example of how to learn from others who learn from others who learn from others, which is just great, really.
Yeah, what I would like to see is that people start using it and start modifying it and start sharing their examples of their own courses that they made with this. So what I want to keep and I want to keep growing is this page on the official documentation. Of course, the documentation is also made using Courseware as code. So if you are wondering how to create a Courseware as code website, you could just, like, this is meta learning.
It just feeds itself. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. You could read the Courseware as code documentation and use it as an example. But if anyone starts creating a course from our Courseware as code, please create a merge request and add your link here, because I love learning by example, and just looking at examples and things other people made, that's awesome. That's the best way to learn and stuff. So, for example, if you click here, you will be taken to the repository. You can see the code. You can see what they did to make it work. Mm-hmm. And you get also a link to the website that was created. This is an example we made for the documentation.
So amazing. And honestly, like, we're just really looking forward to seeing more people do this. Like Alejandro said, we want this page to grow and grow and grow, because as people use it, it becomes a good example, and then other people can get a good idea off of it. And then it grows and grows, and that iteration is part of that open source community flavor. That's why so many people want to participate in it. You want to take what someone else did and make it better and change it and adjust it. That's how we grow.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to people using it and changing it and making it grow. Totally.
That's awesome. Well, Alejandro, I mean, I'm just so excited that I was able to have you on the show. I'm excited that we're going to have this saved. If you're watching this live, thank you for coming through. If you're watching this later, we recorded it and put it on YouTube, which is also fun. But I'm just glad that we were able to talk and we were able to have this. And I'm very glad that I met you early in my career. I had only been at GitLab for a month where they were like,
Yeah, that's right.
hey, you're going to be working with Alejandro. I was like, I don't even know who's GitLab. So any final words, any last things you want to say to people?
Let me just tap my screen share. There we go. Wanted to look at your face while I was talking.
Yeah, thank you.
First, okay, great. It was great working with you. It was great working with Christina. I'm gonna miss you both. It was a wonderful experience. And yeah, for sure. I would love to stay in touch. Yeah, I mean, it was just a wonderful experience. I would recommend if you're a student and you're interested in education, maybe next year, if there is a second version of Coursework as Code, apply. I would
another iteration of it.
And maybe if there is no Coursework as Code project for the next Google Summer of Code, definitely apply to GitLab. Today we had a talk with the rest of the interns, and their project were absolutely amazing, and the mentors were cool. also amazing. So I would definitely recommend GitLab, and I know the persons are great. Everything is great.
Yeah. Thanks, Alejandro. And if you're watching it live, we put those links in there. I put a link to the Summer of Code, so you can find about all about that. I also put a link to the Coursework as Code courseware template if you wanted to take a look at that. And if you're watching on YouTube, those links should be directly underneath us as well. Thank you so much, Alejandro. Thank you, everyone who tuned in and stuck around. This has been Techy Tanuki. And I'm
episode 1.
episode 1, season 1, episode 1.1. And on that, I will see you guys another time. Thanks for coming, y'all.
See ya.